Welcome to today's video. We're going to be talking about some composition guidelines. So let's just get right into it. So the first is going to be rule of thirds. What is the rule of thirds? The second is leading lines. What are leading lines? How do you use them for your advantage? And third is balance and height. And then double check settings, of course. But please, before we go forward, share the course. I'm trying to start a revolution, as you guys know. I want you guys in on the vision with me. And yeah, share the course. And warning, this is the most important video in the entire course. Don't skip, don't fast forward, don't jump around, don't do any of that stuff. What I would recommend, put it in 2x speed. I don't talk the fastest sometimes, so yeah, but let's just get right into it. So what is the rule of thirds here? I want to move my head over here for a second. What is the rule of thirds? So the rule of thirds is dividing your screen into 3 equal sections. So you can do this really easy by using the grids. You can do this. You can even do this on, on not a third-party app or whatever. Get those grids in place and then align your subject on one of those lines. So and if it's a horizontal, I guess, plane, then you're going to want to either have your maybe it's you're taking a video of the horizon. You're going to want it either on this line or on this line, where you want everybody's attention to be focused into. So for real estate video, this could be the kitchen. So maybe the kitchen, or like there's a really cool island. Maybe you put that island on that lower third, and or on that like lower third line. So that is the rule of thirds. There's really not a whole lot that goes into it. It just makes the video so much more engaging for some reason. There's actual math and science behind this, believe it or not. So I'm not going to go into that. I'm just explaining that the rule of thirds is very important, especially outside of real estate. So real estate, it still is important to be aware of, but outside of real estate, lifestyle content, it's a lot more important to be aware of this rule of thirds. So that is the rule of thirds. Now we're going to talk a little bit about leading lines. So leading lines also kind of revolves around some sort of subject, but what these are is vertical lines, like normally straight, but well, yeah, we can get into the exceptions. But pointing your eyes and pointing your focus towards something else. So towards, oops, I covered up lines there. My bad. But it's pointing towards a subject. So let's go through the bottom example first. So you have a dock that leads out to a pretty beautiful view of what looks like mountains. So that dock, as you can see, the left side and the right side are kind of pointing straight towards that mountain, that most, I guess, prominent mountain and peak back there. So that is kind of what they are trying to, I guess, accomplish with that. What I'm surprised about here is they aren't using the rule of thirds in this. It doesn't look like. So that horizon, or yeah, the horizon should be just a little bit higher there. But I digress. It's a beautiful photo. But now let's move to that upper right hand picture right there. So as you can see, that subject is walking across, from one side to the other. It looks like there's some openings there. But all of those pillars, since there are so many of them, it looks like it's going in one direction. Like it looks like it's a line that's pointing straight down. So I don't know if you can see my mouse, but if you can see the bottom of this pillar, that first pillar, and then the bottom of that second pillar, there's a line that goes in between there. And then from the bottom of the second pillar to the bottom of the third pillar, there's a line that goes in between there too. But even if that line wasn't there, your eyes would connect the dots with the bottom of that pillar to, the bottom of the very last pillar of this building. So those lines, and same is true on that right side there, but the same is, and those lines just kind of direct your attention all the way down. And as you can see in this picture, top left, that's just a visual, I guess. It's just an image showing that like how our brains work, how our focus works. I'm gonna get my face on this side, and for real estate video especially, this is huge. So like if you have a really neat hallway, or maybe you just have like a long hallway that goes to, maybe it's a room on the right, room on the left, a little bit sooner, you can do a take down that hallway, and like that could be a shot. In most cases, hallways aren't showcased, but when you have a hallway that is worth showing off, and if it adds to that next shot, because as I have in here, it curates a little bit of anticipation, a little bit of foreshadowing, because you're going down this hallway. It's like, where am I going to go next? So you can use that to make that next video, that next clip, look really nice. I would do this, like I just said, I would do this with a longer hallway, and then normally that it would be some sort of prominent bedroom. It wouldn't just be any bedroom. It would be, ideally it would be the master. But that's how you can use leading lines for capturing people's engagement, or capturing people's focus and entertainment, I guess. And now we're going to talk a little bit about balance and height. So I'm going to make myself a little smaller here. Balance and height. All right. And off the jump, you see two photos, and very nice looking photos for the most part. I just have one problem with one of the photos, and this absolutely translates to video too, like the other guidelines as well, but we'll get into it in just a second. So and disregard those arrows on the top pointing to those lighting fixtures. They thought that this was a good photo on the top, and it is a good photo, but they did something very crucial that I'll explain in just a second. So first of all, balance. As you can see, these photos are very well balanced. They're not tilted in any way. That would be an example of what tilted is. So my face is straight like that, and I'm moving my laptop, so my head isn't centered. I probably didn't have to explain that, but just to give you guys a good picture, because I don't have a picture of real estate in here. But yeah, tilted just meaning not not straight. The horizontal axis isn't level. So now that we have those, that out of the way. Oh, well, actually, I'm kind of jumping the gun. If you have the DJI Osmo Mobile 6, you might need to calibrate it every once in a while. I'm not going to go through calibration right now, but what that is when you're in your DJI Mimo app, there's an option to calibrate your gimbal. there's an option to calibrate your gimbal, and there's an option to balance your gimbal. So balance your gimbal first, and then if it's messed up, if it's tilted, because sometimes it is, especially in the low battery situations, your gimbal can start tilting a little bit. So once you get in those situations, calibrate your gimbal, and most of the time it gets resolved. It gets resolved right away. So that is how you keep a straight shot. And now this next point here is so pivotal, but most people don't really get it. So, and this photographer didn't really get it either. And I know in some cases you can't do this, but this is height. So in my opinion, you should be right around waist height, but maybe just a little bit above waist height for most shots. And this doesn't stop at the kitchen, but as you can see in that top photo, both in the this right top right cabinet and the top left cabinet, you can kind of see under it. In my opinion, you want to be just a little bit higher than that. So this photo under it did this super well. So obviously on the left hand side, there are some things that they can't be above, and the range up there, you can't be directly above. But they got so low, but they still got above the axis of where those cabinets are. If you're not really following what I'm saying here, the bottom of the cabinet normally has space that, I don't know, in my opinion, doesn't look the best. It's just, sometimes it's not even the same color as the cabinets. Sometimes it's not even the same color as anything. It's just a wooden color. So those you're going to want to be above, because you don't want to show that off. Some people get so low and think that that's how it's that's how you should shoot it. I actually couldn't find a good example online about trying to explain what I'm thinking, but this top shot helps you understand that a lot better. But long story short, if there are cabinets there are going to be cabinets in the kitchen. If there's recessed lighting, or if that the bottom of the cabinet doesn't look like the walls of the cabinet and doors of the cabinet, definitely try to stay above that. Don't try to show that off, or try not to show that off. Avoid that at all costs, because it can look, it can throw a shot off a little bit. It's not going to ruin your video, but it's just not going to look the best. So, little recap. The rule of thirds makes photo and video more appealing, a lot more so, and more lifestyle, but it still absolutely applies in real estate. Leading lines engage the viewer and narrow their focus to one subject. It's really that point is you can also use it for anticipation, foreshadowing, so on and so forth. But yeah, it captures their engagement a lot better than going on one side and not being not using those lines to encourage the flow. Calibrate your gimbal, for the love of God. If your phone is tilted whatsoever, please calibrate your gimbal. There's nothing worse than a tilted shot. You can adjust it in the editing room, but first of all, I don't think it looks, well, I guess it kind of does look the same for the most part, but you have to crop in, because you have to you have to crop in. It's hard to explain. But if you've ever taken a sideways shot and leveled the horizon, it cuts out part of your frame. So avoid that at all costs, and always be aware of the height that you film at. All right. So with that being said, share this course. This is Mobile Video Mastery. Time to get after it.